Very warm good afternoon to all of you. This is Maria Pushpam, and previously we have seen in this unit mean, median, mode, range, deviation, mean deviation, and relative mean deviation we have seen already. And the remaining topics in terms are standard deviation, coefficient of variation, and variance. So the topic what we are going to see for today's class is standard deviation, coefficient of variation, and variance. And the next title we have two things, one is accuracy and precision. Among these two we are going to see accuracy. And we can have a short recap. You know what is mean, what is median, what is mode, range, deviation, mean deviation also, relative mean deviation. So now with the basic knowledge of all those things, I'll go into standard deviation. So what I mean by standard deviation is, it is a root mean square of mean deviation. You know what is mean deviation? Mean deviation is nothing but sum of xi minus x bar divided by n is called as mean deviation. And what I mean by standard deviation is, it is nothing but it's a root mean square of the mean deviation. You have to put the square root and make it square of mean deviation. You get the value of standard deviation. I will define the thing once again. Standard deviation is defined as root mean square of the mean deviation. So how it is expressed in the form of formula is, it is given by the symbol S. So S is equal to square root of sum of xi minus x bar the whole square, the whole divided by n. I'll repeat, a sum of xi minus x bar the whole square, the whole divided by n. This is called as standard deviation. And coming to standard deviation, if the value of number of values is found to be less than 50, or it is said to be 50, it is found to be very small. So what we do there is, we take into account the degree of freedom which is given by the symbol n minus 1. Number of terms minus 1 is called as degree of freedom. So the formula can be modified as standard deviation is equal to square root of xi minus x bar the whole square, the whole divided by n. I'll repeat, square root of xi minus x bar the whole square, the whole divided by n minus 1. I'll repeat square root of xi minus x bar the whole square divided by n minus 1. So this is the formula for standard deviation. Now we can see what are the advantages of standard deviation. And coming to standard deviation, it has many advantages. The first one is, standard deviation is a fixed value. It is found to be, secondly, it is found to be a positive value. Then the it is based on the observation of the series of values. It is less affected by fluctuation of the instrument. And last one, it's a basis for measuring correlation coefficient. I'll repeat the advantages of this standard deviation. So you have the formula, it's very clear. Formula of standard deviation nothing but square root of sum of xi minus x bar the whole square divided by n minus 1. So coming to the advantages, we have 5 different advantages. First one, standard deviation is fixed. The value is found to be a fixed one. Secondly, it is said to be a positive one. Thirdly, it is based on all the observation of the series. And fourth one is, it will not be much affected by fluctuation of the instrument. And last one, it is used for measuring correlation coefficient. Now we can see a problem based on standard deviation. So what's the problem here is, calculate standard deviation for the following set of results. The first value is 7.08, 7.15, 7.12, 7.16 and 7.14. We have 5 different values: 7.06, 7.15, 7.12, 7.16 and 7.14. So you know the formula. The formula of standard deviation is nothing but square root of sum of xi minus x bar the whole square divided by n minus 1. So initially you should find what is the mean value. We have seen in the first topic of this unit how to calculate mean. Mean is nothing but you have to sum up all the values divided by the number of terms taken into consideration. So here we have 5 terms. So you add up all the terms. The value is found to be 35.65, and number of terms, if you count, there are 5 different terms, so divided by 5 and the value is found to be 7.13. So to make the problem easier, you put a tabulation. So how to put the tabulation is, first one you mark it as serial number, then xi, it's an individual value, x bar is the mean value, then difference between the individual value and the mean value, xi minus x bar, and last one is xi minus x bar the whole square. I'll repeat. So first column it is serial number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So number of terms are nothing but n is equal to 5. And xi is the individual value. 5 different values are given. 7.08, 7.21, 7.12, then 7.16 and 7.14. And how to find the mean we have seen already. You have to sum up all the values divided by 5. You get the mean value as 7.13. So you make the difference between the two. That's the next column, xi minus x bar. The first value, the difference is minus 0.05. Second value, the difference is 0.08. Third value, it's minus 0.01. Fourth value, minus 0.03. And the last value is it's plus 0.01. So what you have to do for the next column is you square up the value. So it's minus 0.05, the whole square is nothing but 0.0025, and for 0.08 it is 0.0064, and for 0.01 it is 0.0001, and for 0.03 it is 0.0009, and for 0.01 it is 0.0001. So now what you have to do here is the formula is nothing but square root of sum of xi minus x minus x bar the whole square. So you have to square up the value. So by squaring the values you get the value is 0.01. Okay, keep it as if. And now you introduce the formula square root of sum of xi minus x bar the whole square divided by n minus 1. So in the numerator the value is 0.01, and divided by, because it is found to be less than 50, the values are found to be less than 50, we have to take n as n minus 1. I have said you already. So the value is nothing but 4. So square root of 0.01 divided by 4 is nothing but 0.05. So this is the standard deviation of the given problem. I'll repeat the problem once again. So what's the problem given here is they have given 5 different values, that is 7.08, 7.21, 7.12, 7.16, 7.14. You have to by heart the formula very thoroughly. It's nothing but square root of sum of xi minus x bar the whole square divided by n minus 1. Okay, so first you form the tabulation, put the xi value, individual value, then put the mean value, then take the difference between the individual value and the mean value, and the last column is you square up the difference between the individual value and the mean value, and after squaring up you add all the things, because the formula is sum of xi minus x bar. So the value is nothing, the xi minus x bar the whole square, the value is nothing but 0.01. And now you introduce the formula s is equal to square root of sum of xi minus x bar the whole square divided by n minus 1. So our value is square root of 0.01 divided by 4, which is nothing but 0.05. I think you are clear with the problem, and your final answer is 0.05. So I'll go with the next one. Next one is nothing but coefficient of variation. So what I mean by coefficient of variation is, it's nothing but it's a relative standard deviation. So relative standard deviation is called as coefficient of variation. So coefficient of variation is given by the formula standard deviation divided by mean into 100. So this is called as coefficient of variation. So coefficient of variation CV is equal to S into 100 divided by X bar, where S is nothing but standard deviation and X bar is the mean value. We can, you know how to calculate standard deviation and you know how to calculate mean. You simply divide standard deviation by mean, you multiply the value by 100, you get the answer for coefficient of variation. Is it okay, ma? So I'll repeat the point once again. So coefficient of variation is nothing but relative standard deviation is called as coefficient of variation and is given by the formula CV is equal to S into 100 divided by X bar, where S is a standard deviation and X bar is the mean value. So next one is nothing but variance. So what I mean by variance is, this is square of standard deviation is called as variance. Okay, so how to calculate variances? You simply find the standard deviation value, make the square of the particular standard deviation value, you get the term is said to be variance. If variance is asked for calculation, what you have to do is find standard deviation. I have said you how to find standard deviation. Standard deviation is nothing but square root of sum of xi minus x bar the whole square divided by n minus 1. So you square up the value, you get the term called as variance. It's variance clear? I'll repeat once again. So variance is nothing but square of standard deviation is called as variance. So simply you have to substitute the formula for standard deviation. S square is called as variance. S is nothing but standard deviation. Is it clear? I'll go with the next topic, ma. So next one is nothing but accuracy and precision. So among these terms for today's class we are going to see only accuracy. So you know the meaning of the particular word accuracy. Accuracy is nothing but accurate. We say it is an accurate value, that is correct value. Is it okay? So how to define accuracy is, it's a measure of how closely a measured quantity agrees with the true value. So original value will be there. Experimentally we are doing a thing. If both the things are very close to each other, we say the value is said to be an accurate value. Is it okay? And if there is a difference, we call there is an error. எரர்னு தெரியும்ல, தப்பு இருக்குன்னு சொல்லுவோம்ல, உனக்கு titration value skilled value difference இருந்தா we call it as error. You know the meaning of the particular word error is. I'll go with the error later on. Now we can say what is said to be accuracy. Accuracy is a measure of how closely a measured quantity agrees with the true value. True value is the original value. Okay, so accuracy is a measure how closely the measured quantity agrees with the true value. It is expressed in terms of, the closeness is expressed in terms of error called as absolute error. An absolute error is nothing but is given by the symbol E. E is equal to xi minus xt, and xi is the experimental value and xt is the true value. Xi is the experimental value, xt is the true value. Is it clear for all? Shall I go with the next one? So accuracy is a measure how closely a measured quantity agrees with the true value. It is expressed in terms of initially absolute error, and absolute error is nothing but difference between true value and the experimental value. So you have to subtract the true value from the experimental value. You will get the answer for absolute error. Okay. So now we can see with an example. So an analyst has analyzed a sample of iron is said to be 20.44% of iron in a sample, but it actually contains only 20.34%. So from the value itself we can find, from the sentence itself we can understand what is the original value and what is the experimental value. Okay, so the analyst has found the value is 20.44, so that is the experimental value, and what is the actual value is 20.34. So now we need to calculate the absolute error to check the accuracy. Okay, so how to check the thing is, you make the difference between both. that is 20.44 is your experimental value, and actual value is 20.34. If you see the difference, the absolute error is found to be 0.10 percentage. Absolute error is found to be 0.10 percentage. So if you take the thing, we can accurately say this error is found to be a correct error, because for normal accuracy measurement, determination is done by relative error method. Okay, so why we are doing that is, determination of accuracy is not reliable, it's not very correct. So we won't go with absolute error has to be calculated, but with absolute error we can't stop. We have to go with another error which is called as relative error. That is, accuracy is best expressed in terms of relative error. So compared to absolute error, relative error is found to be more accurate compared to absolute error. And what I mean by relative error is, it is nothing but it's the ratio between absolute error and the true value. So initially you have to calculate the absolute error, and from the absolute error you can calculate relative error by dividing the value by true value. And this relative error is expressed in terms of percentage, or it can also be expressed in terms of parts per thousand, PPT. We have studied ppm, parts per million. This is nothing but a ppt, it's nothing but parts per thousand. Okay, so how to calculate this relative error is, first I'll define what is relative error. I'll repeat the point once again, ma. So normally accuracy is initially measured using absolute error, and absolute error is nothing but difference between the experimental value and the true value is called as absolute error. As days went on, what happened there is, they found that this absolute error does not accurately say the something about the result. So they went to another thing called as relative error, and relative error is nothing but it's a ratio of absolute error and true value. The true value is accurate value, and the difference, the ratio between absolute error and true value is called as relative error. And this relative error can be expressed by two different terms. Either you can express by percentage, or you can express by in terms of parts per thousand, PPT. So how to write the formula is, relative error is equal to, if in terms of percentage it is E by T into 100. If it in terms of PPT, it is E by T into 1000. Is it okay? I'll repeat. So relative error is equal to E by T into 100 if it is percentage, or you can write E by T into 1000 if it is PPT. So using this formula we can calculate a problem. It's clear now? Yes. So initially absolute error was used. Later they found that absolute error was not found to be very accurate. So using absolute error, they are used to modify the thing called as relative error. And how to calculate relative error is, relative error is nothing but absolute error divided by true value. It is expressed in terms of percentage or in terms of PPT. If it is expressed in terms of percentage, what you have to do is you have to multiply by 100. If it is expressed in terms of parts per thousand, you have to multiply the value by 1000. Okay, ma? So I'll go with the next one. So next one, the same problem what I have said you already. An analyst finds a value 20.44 percentage iron in a sample which actually contains 20.34 percentage. Find the relative error. So first what you have to do here is, you have to find the absolute error. Absolute error I have said you already, it's nothing but E is equal to the difference between experimental value and the true value. So 20.44 minus 20.34, it is 0.10. 20.44 minus 20.34, it's nothing but 0.10. Now what you have to do is, you are going to calculate relative error. So how to calculate relative error? E by T into 100 or E by T into 1000. E is nothing but absolute error divided by T is true value. Divide by true value into 100 if it is percentage, and if into 1000 if it is PPT. So the value will be 0.10 divided by 20.34 into 100. It is nothing but 0.49 percentage, and if it is relative error, what you have to do, same thing, you multiply by 1000. E by t you have to find. E is nothing but absolute error divided by true value. It is nothing but 20.34 into 1000, the value will be 4.9 ppt. Is it clear? I'll repeat the problem once again, ma. We are going to calculate relative error. So to find the relative error, what you have to do is first calculate the absolute error. Absolute error is nothing but difference between the experimental value and the true value. So the value is found to be 0.10. So relative error can be expressed by two different terms. One is percentage, another one is parts per 1000. So if it is percentage, what you have to do is E by T into 100. If it is parts per 1000, E by T into 1000. So your value is 0.10 divided by 20.34 into 100. The answer is 0.49 percentage, and the same thing if you multiply by 1000, you get the value as 4.9 ppt. It's clear now. Shall I go with the next one? So next one is nothing but, in most of the cases, this relative error, instead of relative error, it is measured in terms of relative mean error. I'll repeat. So initially we have seen they used for measuring accuracy absolute error. Then they went on with what error? It is called as relative error. As days goes on, for most of the cases, what is found to be more accurate is said to be relative mean error. I'll repeat, ma. So absolute error followed by relative error. Then in most of the cases, it is found to be true that accuracy is found to be correct only in the case of relative mean error. And how to calculate this relative mean error is, the formula is nothing but, you have to take x bar mean minus xi divided by, I'll repeat the formula once again. Relative mean value is mean value minus true value divided by true value into 1000. I'll repeat, ma. So relative mean value is nothing but x bar minus xt divided by xt into 1000. That is called as relative mean error, which is called as, it is expressed in terms of PPT. I'll repeat this, relative mean error. So in most of the cases, you are using only relative mean error. So relative mean error is nothing but x bar minus xt divided by xt into 1000. I'll repeat the formula once again. So x bar minus xt divided by xt into 1000 is called as relative mean error. It is expressed in terms of only parts per 1000, PPT. Is it okay? So now we are going to see how to improve this accuracy. Accuracy can be improved by three different ways. First one is, the experiment should be carried out in absence of foreign materials. Foreign materials are nothing but impurities. Foreign materials are nothing but impurities, are said to be foreign material. Second one, the instrument used must be checked and calibrated. The instrument used must be checked and calibrated. And third one, the experiment should be free from systematic error or procedure error, or we say faulty method. I'll repeat the thing, ma. So to find the accuracy, three things are mainly followed. One is said to be, the experiment should be carried out in absence of impurities. Second one, the instrument should be checked and calibrated properly. And third one, there should not be any systematic error due to procedure. The procedure should be a correct procedure. Is it okay? So these are the ways how to improve the accuracy of the result. It's clear now. So I'll warm up with the thing what we have seen already. So today the things what you have seen are standard deviation, coefficient of variation, variance, followed by accuracy. I think it is clear for you. Thank you for listening. Carry on studying. Okay, ma?